Hey everybody, welcome back. Well, the Hawks are 2-1 after a win over Troy this weekend. Kind of an interesting game. We're going to recap all of that. We've got a fantastic interview coming your way, and the Hawks are taking on Minnesota at Minnesota coming up this weekend, so we will preview that game. Thanks for coming back. This is Talkin Hawks presented by Hills Bank.
No matter where you are in life, Hills Bank is here to help you succeed.
Whether you're buying your first house, saving for your child's future, or preparing for retirement, you can count on the people at Hills Bank for the support you need to reach your goals.
It's easy to connect with a banker in person, over the phone, or on hillsbank.com.
Because we believe banking is better through human connection.
Hills Bank is an equal housing lender and FDIC member.
Hi, Matt.
Hey.
How's it going?
God is good. Another week.
Well, yeah, another week and another win.
Another win. A weird win, but we'll talk about it.
It was kind of an interesting game. The atmosphere was actually really good. I will say that.
Tell us about the on-field vibes.
You know, the Hawkeye fans were in it. They were in it to win it. They were just decked out in gold. It was the gold out game.
Right.
It was really warm, like really warm. I couldn't believe it. It was just like so muggy, like not a lot of air movement. But by the time the second half came around, it wasn't so bad. But yeah, it was good. It was really good. And really nice to see, like, you don't usually like to see fans leave early, but they were leaving early because, like, we won. We're up by a lot. We can head home. We can try to beat the traffic. And then they just, like, become the traffic, you know? Like, everybody tries to leave early to beat everybody else, but they all leave at the same time anyway. So, kind of defeats the purpose.
That's very true.
But either way, it was good. The vibes were good. I will say...
how was T-Roy in person?
I didn't see him.
You didn't see him at all?
I don't think he came over. I don't think he was there. Not that I saw. At least he didn't come over to like our student section side.
I thought they normally did the skits and everything.
Yeah, they didn't.
No T-Roys.
Nope,
That's
they
sad.
did not. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Maybe that's why they lost. Their guy wasn't there.
Forgot their guy.
Shoot.
Oh, we're already here.
Did you just bring the mascot? No. We forgot. Great. Pack it up. Let's go home. Anyway.
Shut up. Just kidding.
But
They
yeah,
played a good game.
it was a pretty good game. All things considered, start to finish. Yeah.
All right, so we'll go into it in a little bit. Kind of weird. So we put up like 462 yards. Like we ended up winning by 17, 38-21. It feels like, based on numbers, we dominated the game. But watching the game, at no point did I feel like we were just dominating.
For a little, it would be like spurts.
Yeah, like three or four plays, you're like, oh yeah, now we figured it out. And then just kind of weird. But all around, we were just a little bit off. You know, the double moves, we got hit on 2 of them on defense. That doesn't happen. Offensively.
Can you explain just really quick what a double move is? Because you say it a lot.
So a double move is based off a short route. So quick hitches, the touchdown that they actually scored on, I was going to get into it when we talk about defense, but we can kind of go into it now. So they ran hitches and outs because that's usually what Iowa's defense makes you do because you're not going to get the big play. Well, you do that so often in the eyes of the DB, it's like, oh, I'm going to jump this next one and get the pick. Well, he ends up doing that, and Devontae Ross, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, made a really nice play, dropped his weight so that TJ Hall thought that he was running the hitch and just exploded out of it 63 yards, 68 yards, something like that. So he made him think that it was going to be a short route and then went deep.
Gotcha.
Instead.
So why is it called a double move? That just sounds like one move.
Well, one move would be the route. If he just ran a hitch, he's making one move at the top. But instead of making the move, he's making another move because instead of just down, he's now out.
I don't know. Just sounds like
we'll call the head guys of football and you can talk to them.
Change it to single move.
Hit him with a single move on the outside. That just doesn't sound as good as double move. Usually it's like an out and up or a back and up. It's kind of morphed. If you go back and watch the tape, it morphs into just dropping your weight, and they call it beating the drum because your hands, it's like the natural running motion when you cut down. And so if you do it really hard and violently, the corner thinks that you're going to cut, which is why they stop. But if you quick do that and then go right back into accelerating, typically DB doesn't have a chance unless he tackles you, i.e. Michigan State 2015 Big Ten Championship. But so that kind of stuff. The other one was off a corner. So they ran kind of like a snag concept or like a smash concept. So essentially a quick hitch on the outside. And Ross was number 2. and he ran a corner, and it kind of puts TJ Hall in a tough spot of if he's going to play the short route or the deep route, because number 3 ran kind of a seam post. So Quinn Schulte's normally the deep help on that, but they ran number 3 vertical, so Quinn Schulte has to take him, which means TJ Hall has to like play both of these guys, right? Because the corner or the flat defender's not going to get all the way out there. That's why TJ Hall's there. Well, the guy runs to the corner, so TJ Hall sits underneath so he can play both, but then he turns it up and there's nobody there because Quinn Schulte had to take the post that was going across the field or the seam that was going up the middle. And so it just put him in a bad spot. It's not like he necessarily got beat on it. It's just more so that was perfect play for that coverage. And sometimes you get got, is the way that Marshawn Lynch would say it.
Okay.
So, but a little bit uncharacteristic there. Gave up a punt return for a touchdown. That almost never happens.
I know.
And the last time that Troy got a punt return for a touchdown was against Nebraska in 2018.
Really?
When they beat Nebraska. But anyway, same guy that caught both touchdowns, catches the punt return. We just didn't have leverage. So Gunner's rules, and I think we talked about it a little bit last year. Gunner's rules, if you're inside of 7 yards and the gunner is just going straight to the ball, if you're inside of 7 yards, you take your shot. Meaning, if the guy catches the ball and you're 7 yards or less to him, you shoot at his opposite hip to make him go sideways, barring that the rest of your coverage team knows that they're the 5-yard player, the 10-yard player, the 15-yard player on either side. So that way he has to go in the middle and then everybody converges to make the play. Well, when one side gets walled down because they don't have their lane assignment done correctly, that's how this guy gets out on the outside. And we didn't break down as a gunner. He caught it, I think, probably 10, 15 yards before we got anybody there. He just took it up the sideline. Fast dude. But all their touchdowns were over 60 yards. So it's not like they were driving against our defense. They just hit big plays, something that we're not accustomed to seeing.
Well, I feel like if you're Troy coming into play Iowa, like you might as well.
You might as well.
Just bomb it down the field.
Well, and they set it up really well on the short game before they finally went deep. But it is a little disheartening when their backup quarterback comes in because they pulled the starter and this kid's a sophomore. I don't know how much he's played. And then there's a 68-yard touchdown pass. But either way, I mean, obviously offense did enough to win. We had Jamari Harris's pick 6. Like there was good out of it. It just didn't seem like it was a typical Iowa game. So with that, I kind of basically talked about defense and special teams. We'll go to the offensive side of the ball. It's kind of a weird spot right now, just because there's so many pieces that filter in and out. The first 2 games, it seemed like Reese Vanderzee and Jacob Gill took the majority of the reps. Like they were clear and away 1 and 2. This game, I feel like maybe 6 or 7 or 8 receivers saw the field. Like they had a ton of guys rotating in and out. Caleb Brown got his first catch of the year. I'm blanking on all the guys' names, but number 7 went in, number 8 went in. There was just a bunch of guys that saw Jerry Bowie went in, number 0. A lot of guys saw the field. And so that kind of says one of 2 things. Either A, we feel like we've got a ton of depth and a lot of guys need reps, or B, nobody's solidifying themselves as the true 1 and the true 2 to where they don't get taken off the field. Now, everything I've seen about Jacob Gill, I love. I think that he's doing a lot of really good things. I think Reese Vanderzee has a really good body type, and I think he's a really good blocking guy on the outside. Obviously, first game, he made some great plays. I know he can catch the ball, but blocking, it seems like he's always sticking his face in there, and being 6'4", it obviously helps. Like he's got the build, he's got the size. But those are just a couple things that I noticed. So when you have that many guys filter in, maybe you just don't know who can do what yet, which kind of goes along with, we changed the QB stuff near the goal line. We went with Brendan Sullivan.
Well, hold on. So we were talking about all of this stuff yesterday, just you and I, like after I got home from the game, all the things. And we were talking about the receivers. And you kind of went all the way back to, because I was like, well, what's the reason for that or whatever? And you went all the way back to spring ball. So start there. And just that whole explanation of Coach Lester gets there and then go.
Well, the timeline is weird. So I just talked about you don't really know who can do what yet. Like other coaches, obviously Coach Ferentz knows what the guys can do that were based on spring ball. But Lester comes in spring, kind of late spring, early fall, right? It was something like that. Or early summer. I think it was before spring ball. Anyway. So comes in and Cade's not practicing because he's hurt. Brendan Sullivan's not here yet. So Deacon Hill's the number 1. Marco Linez is here. So he's taking reps. So those 2 guys are getting reps. And then on receiver, I mean, we've got a lot of guys that just keep leaving the room and come in. Like Nico's been the guy, but now he's gone. You got Jerry Bowie. I don't think Jacob Gill was here at that time. Reese Vanderzee probably wasn't here at that time. You're looking at a bunch of guys that are getting reps at a new offense, so they probably don't look great still learning how they want this hook route to run versus this curl versus in this look we're doing this. This is the side adjustment based on this blitz, right? All that's new. And then you kind of get to, I think there were a couple other injuries during spring that guys couldn't quite show what they could do. Then you get to summer and it's like, okay, Cade's finally starting to get into it, but Brendan Sullivan still isn't here yet. So now we're working on whether or not Cade is going to be the guy because Deacon Hill is now gone and moved on. Spencer Petras is gone and moved on. So now Cade's going to have to take reps, but he's not fully 100%. Like we saw him at Kids Day, like he's getting there. Like there's a few different things that we just don't know yet because he hasn't seen. Luke Lachey's been down for a long time, so we haven't really gotten full reps of him yet. We've seen Ortworth, we've seen Ostrango. We know what they can do. Okay, well, they've probably taken a ton of reps, so at least we know what our tight ends can do. Running back, Caleb Johnson, been here. LaShawn Williams, been here. Kamari Moulton, been here. Okay, we know that those guys are going to continue to go up. Offensive line, there's not a ton of NIL or a ton of transfers. I was going to say NIL transfers. A ton of transfers on the offensive line outside of Proctor, who came in, had a cup of coffee and left. So like it's just a weird thing where those guys, you know, you expect through a multitude of injuries, okay, this is going to be the foundation. But as far as outside, you just don't know yet because you haven't had a true QB1 take those reps with the true wide receivers, right? So now you're getting into game time and it's like, well, now you've got all these guys here that are now Brendan Sullivan's finally here, you know, starting to camp. And it's like, okay, well, now who's going to sort who? Because we don't truly know what anybody can do yet. And to expect a guy to come in and learn an entire playbook in a month from the quarterback position of where verbiage is probably different, checks are probably different. I don't know if it's completely different between like run game, like, you know, if it could be a check where it's like, okay, it's an over front versus here. Like this is the way we want to check. We want to go outside zone away. Like all those are new. And then you put that in with, we still don't know what our receivers can do yet because they haven't had a true quarterback, an Iowa quarterback throwing to them yet because Deacon, who took reps with them, is now gone. And he's inevitably going to throw the ball different than Cade, who's going to throw the ball different than Brendan because that's just the way it is. So I think they're still trying to figure out, and the announcer said this on TV, who does what. Luke Lachey finally comes back. Like, we all know what Luke Lachey can do, but they also want to make sure that they get him in advantageous positions and like, okay, is he better at a hook route in this way? Or maybe this, he understands this. He talked about, Coach Lester talked about Kamari Moulton understands a certain run play better because he looks like Aaron Jones. So he took reps at that one play because one play, he understands it conceptually. It's just so interesting about with a bunch of different parts, and it can pull on the depth or it can pull on, we're still trying to figure out who does what to the best of their capabilities yet. It's just an interesting spot. So to put up 40, 19, and then 38, like I still think we're in a solid spot. I mean, I'll say 31 because Jamari Harris had the pick six. But like, I still think we're in a good spot, but I also would not be surprised if they're trying to finalize who does what, especially on the outside, in order to know, like, okay, what does Caden Weegan do really well? You know, I can go back to my playing days. Like, we definitely had guys that like, okay, you're going to be in there to block. You're going to be in there to run the go ball. You're going to be in there to run the intermediate stuff. Like, everybody kind of had a role, and then you've played on that role. When you haven't had the true team reps for at least consistently with a quarterback that, you know, getting reps, because, I mean, the kind of chemistry that can develop between wide receiver and quarterback is very real. I experienced that with CJ. And so, you know, how long does that take to develop? And none of this is to say that is to be an excuse as to like, well, they're not quite there because they had 462 yards, right? Now we missed another open guy. Like Luke Lachey was running up the seam while Cade was rolling to the right. It was like 3rd and 2. And maybe Luke Lachey's not the read on that. Or maybe Cade's eyes were in the wrong spot because of a pre-snap thing. Like, none of this we know other than, like, he's open, he should throw it. It's like, well, yeah, we want him to. But at the same token, like, maybe that's not part of the progression because we don't understand the full progression yet. And maybe Cade doesn't either. I'm assuming he does. You know, he's taking reps, right? He's a starter. You would expect that he knows the reads. But it's just a matter of bringing it all together on who does what. And hopefully this Brendan Sullivan goal line package is like, okay, he's really mobile. We want a guy that can run read option down here because we think we've got good pieces. Like if Caleb Johnson is down at the goal line, you should probably respect that he's going to get the football, right? Especially when I was known for running the ball with all those tight ends, right? So I think it adds a lot. I feel like I went on a very long diatribe there, but I also think it's important to understand exactly what to expect this early on. And I said it in the offseason, it's going to take about week 7 or 8 for them to finally click to get to where they want to be. And so far that kind of rings true of like, we need to know who the guys are and then go.
Good job. That was exactly what I was asking for. It sounded really good.
I need to take a drink after that one.
Take a drink.
Well, it's water.
What kind of
It's
scotch
not-
is in there?
It's water.
Actually, the thing I was looking up was Hawkeye football posted 7 hours ago. Today's Sunday. Cade's numbers from Saturday.
19 of 23.
19 of 23, 83% completion. And then connecting on 13 of his final 14 attempts, with Jacob Gill having a team high of 5 receptions.
Like, you read the numbers and it's like, we should have blown them out of the freaking water, right? And it's an incredibly efficient offense. And for some reason, it just feels like there's a disconnect yet, even though you put up 462 yards. By the way, Caleb Johnson, dog. Can we just
Is he the leading rusher in the nation?
I think
this
he's
week?
top 5.
Top 5.
I don't think he's a leading rusher. Could you imagine if he had another half under his belt? It's crazy. He said he wants to be in there and he welcomes it. He's really liking this new scheme with Lester. I'll tell you that. 173 yards last week, 2 tutties. Like, he's understanding it, which means that the boot and the play action should be so devastating once we truly figure out exactly how to utilize Caleb Johnson in that way to be a decoy because of the way he runs the ball.
Couple things on defense. Nick Jackson, you told me he had some sort of like...
He's like 101 tackles away from being the all-time leading tackler in NCAA history.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know if that's solo tackles, assisted tackles, total tackles. They didn't quite get into the weeds. But on TV, it's like, dang, that's a lot of tackles.
That's a lot of tackles.
And he's
That's
right next to Jay
exciting.
Higgins.
And speaking of defense, with Jamar Harris's pick 6, this is the 17th straight season for the Hawkeye defense that they've had a pick 6 at some point in the season.
That's wild.
I don't know. I guess that's the second longest active streak in the
Well, there
nation.
you go. That's pretty wild.
Hawkeye football just they came ready to play with the Instagram captions this week. Very informative.
Doughboys.
Caleb Johnson through 3 games, 479 yards, 7.9 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns.
Crazy.
So there's that for you.
Crazy.
Thanks, Hawkeye football. Great info. Okay. Anything else that you want to add to that other than your JB Roofing Unsung Hero?
No, I'll go right into the JB Roofing Unsung Hero.
Okay. Is there just one this week, or you
Just
just
one.
throw us a curveball? Okay.
No. I'm finally going to get back to my roots, do what's expected of me,
Okay.
and that's one.
So annoying.
And you just brought him up. I'm not annoying. You're annoyed at my bubbliness.
Okay.
Nick Jackson.
Okay.
Jamar Harris's pick 6. He had 2 big blocks. You're going to see him. He put somebody on his butt. I don't know who it was, but the fact that our guys are so excited about interceptions that they turn around and no matter what, they're finding somebody. But Nick Jackson ended up blocking 2 guys. He put one guy on his butt, and then it was the last block before Jamari scores. I think he just buried the quarterback or something, and then Jamari goes in for the touchdown. So doing nothing super spectacular, but just, ball, we got it. And then go find somebody to go hit. That's what he does best. So Nick Jackson, Unsung Hero, brought to you by JB Roofing.
Very good. Okay, we're going to hop into our interview for this week. We hope you love it, and we'll be right back. Need a new roof, gutter, or siding in Eastern Iowa? Call JB Roofing and Construction, the local and reliable roofer with over 20 years of experience. They do one roof at a time, unlike others who juggle multiple projects and cut corners. They also serve a 45-mile radius around Kelowna and help you with any insurance claims. Don't wait. Call 319-656-ROOF or visit their website, jbroofingkelowna.com, for a free estimate. JB Roofing and Construction, the small town roofer you can trust. Matt, did you know that Iowa City Tire does more than just tires?
Well, yeah, I mean, they've been servicing vehicles in the corridor for 40 years.
Right, but did you really know that before someone had to tell you?
No.
Check out how they're doing things in a very different way at Iowa City Tire and Service, where service actually comes first.
The Appliance Barn offers a wide range of high-quality appliances at unbeatable prices.
Whether you're in the market for a new refrigerator, dishwasher, or washing machine, they've got you covered.
They also have a delivery and setup department to ensure your appliances get delivered and installed quickly. To find out more, visit appliancebarn.com.
All right, Hawkeye fans, we have got a fantastic interview in the studio today. Everyone, please welcome from the Hawkeye football team center, Logan Jones. Logan, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Were you waiting for the claps?
Yeah, it was.
We-
Yep.
We don't have a live
Producers,
stream.
guys.
Yeah,
geez.
get on it.
John.
here.
They're just giggling to themselves back there.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
Ready to roll.
Walked
this
in
weekend.
well,
Yeah.
no issues.
That's right. That's what we always like to see. There's no like armbands, knee sleeves, none of the things that are
Yeah.
like maybe some stuff went on that first
Mhm.
game. But early in the season, how's your body feeling?
Actually feels pretty good right now,
good.
surprisingly, compared to like past years and whatnot. I feel pretty good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good to hear.
exciting.
Okay. Well, really, we just like to start all the way back at the beginning with all of our guests, just so we can get to know you a little bit better as a person and not
Yeah.
just a football player
Mhm.
and not the typical questions that you might get on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
So if you just want to take us back to like when you were a kid, where'd you grow up? What was it like growing up? Like sports you played, that kind of stuff. That's kind of where we'll start. So where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Council Bluffs, Iowa, right on like the border of like Iowa, Nebraska, right next to Omaha. Grew up, me and my sister, went to Lewis Central High School, played football, basketball, and then I was a thrower in track in high school. I ran in middle school. Had to give that up once I got a little older and gained some weight, but
You were too fast that they had to slow you down.
exactly, yeah, they slowed me down a little bit.
You're like Dash out there from The Incredibles. We gotta.
Yeah, give everybody else a chance. Yeah, they took me off, so they got lucky, I guess. But yeah, I grew up over in Council Bluffs. Played I tried baseball. Wasn't very good at that. Had to give that up too. Scared of the ball, I guess you could say. Had to give that up. Yeah, super active.
Wrestle at all?
No,
Interesting.
I wish I would have. I tried to do both, but my high school basketball coach, who was also one of my best friend's dads, said it's just too time consuming.
He talked you into it, huh?
Yeah, he made me stay on basketball, which I really wish I would have wrestled. I mean, it just helps so much, especially in like O-line, D-line.
Oh yeah,
like, so,
hand
like,
placement, leverage, all
that's
of
what
it.
I'm saying. And that's like when I'm playing football, that's like where I lack sometimes, just like the hand leverage and whatnot. So that would have just benefited me so much more if I would have done that. But I love basketball too. It was a lot of fun. I think I got a lot of benefit from that.
Of course.
So, yeah.
So you said you ran in middle school.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I was reading like an article that somebody did that was kind of like a profile on you.
Okay.
And you were pretty fast in middle school. It kind of caught the eye
Yeah.
of your like high school football coach, right?
Yeah.
What were you running?
Yeah. I don't know.
So I
if
wasn't lying.
Yeah, no, I was pretty fast in middle school. I don't know if it's because I hit puberty before everybody or what it was, but sixth grade year, I won the city 100-meter dash. In seventh grade, I did the same thing again.
Dang.
So I mean, yeah, I was moving out there. Felt pretty good, but after that, yeah, they just put me on the throwing side of things, which is fine. I was fine with
You didn't even do like a big man relay when you got in high school?
No, my coach was like, I don't want you to get hurt. It was so everybody else is doing big man relays, and I'm sitting on the side watching, kind of stunned. But yeah,
Gotcha.
Golly.
Any other sports in middle school?
no, that's baseball, football, yeah, basketball. That's
What
it.
position in
Okay.
baseball?
Pitcher, outfield, everywhere.
Everything.
Yeah,
So, dude,
no, they just didn't have anybody else. I think that's what it was.
I was trying
Yeah,
to set you up there.
yeah, no, it was bad. I played for the Green Cobras. Is the team we were on. And yeah, I was just so bad. I really was just scared of the ball. And I don't know if it was because I got hit by my first ever at bat. I just got smoked.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that's gonna do it.
I was like, okay, I don't ever want to go up again. So whenever they would throw balls, I would just hope they'd throw like 4 balls in a row and I could just take a walk. But
And then you picked a much more violent sport.
I did, yeah. It's kind of weird. And I don't know. It's just something with a hard baseball hitting you. Just bad at first experience. I think it might have been.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about football? Did you start like in middle school or did you start much younger than that?
I think second grade is when I first started playing football. I think it was for a team called the Jets. I was a striper, if you guys know what that is. So if you're too heavy, you can't.
We called them ringers in South Dakota, but same thing.
You
got
can't
the
touch
red.
the ball. So I was. It was just so mad about that, and it was ridiculous. So I
They
played.
basically call it dead as soon as you get possession
yeah,
of
you
it,
couldn't
right?
even touch it. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Then what's the point? Well,
Well,
then what
like-
did you do?
I don't know. I guess I weighed too much, so I couldn't run the ball. Maybe it was-
Right, because they were afraid of all the other little kids getting hurt.
Yeah.
I was one of those other little kids, so I was happy that they had ringers.
Yeah. It was just the most ridiculous thing, and I still have never had the opportunity to score a touchdown all my years of playing football, which is just, I'm hoping this year maybe there's a chance.
We might need to put a plug out there.
That's what I'm saying. There might be a chance. But yeah, I think that's something that kind of sticks with me to this day. Never being able to score a touchdown.
Wow. That's so interesting. That's actually really sad, though, to tell a little kid like, no, sorry, you can't actually play.
No, we're super young. What do you think I'm going to do? I don't know. But
do they at least let you do, you got to at least do ball security one time at the beginning of practice just to feel what it's like?
Yeah. When was it? I think I was still on defense when we would do ball security. So my second year or first year, I was still on defense. We'd switch sides.
Yeah. So we do a tackling circuit.
Yeah. And then we do ball security and whatnot. I mean, that felt pretty good. I enjoyed it. So it was pretty fun. I got a little experience with it.
At least they let you touch the ball.
Yeah.
And move.
Yep.
Nice. Well, the big size pays off eventually.
Yeah.
Even being a striper eventually.
It did pay off.
So there.
Yep.
Very cool. So you said you have a sister, older or younger?
Older.
Older sister.
Yes.
Okay. And does she play sports? Did she play sports?
Yeah, she played softball. I think from middle school up until her senior year. So I had to go to all those.
Got to go to all those.
Yeah, I got to go to all those. Enjoyed watching all those tournaments there for about 8 hours.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
a long time.
Loved it. So much fun. So enjoyed it.
Just in the heat of the summer.
Yeah, it was so hot.
Yeah. Are you guys pretty close?
Yeah, we are pretty close still.
Okay.
Yeah, talked to her quite a bit. She just had my niece, I guess, Rory.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yep, she was born in April. So, and her fiance, Taylor Morgan, one of my best friends, named her Rory because he's a huge golf fan. Love the name Rory McIlroy. Hoping she turned out to be a golfer. So that'd be pretty cool. Maybe the first one in the family. So we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. Are you a golfer?
This past summer, I wasn't. The summer before, though, I was playing pretty good golf. I don't know if it was the labrum surgery in January or what. I'll blame it on that. But I just did not play very well this past summer.
Okay. But you played.
Yeah,
like it's a thing you do.
It is something that I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we were saying we just recently talked to Zach Ortworth, and he was kind of dogging on you a little bit.
That makes no sense. I'm just going to stop gassing him up because it was one day. It was one day he played good. So maybe I'm the X factor and making him play good. But
maybe.
I was supporting him the whole day.
That's all he needed.
Yeah. I guess so. I'm not supporting him anymore, though.
That's it.
Those days are over.
Well, he said that it was him and then you and two of the other centers.
Yeah, Cade Pieper and then Ellsbury.
And I can't imagine those golf carts liked it.
Yeah.
You guys just piling in there.
Hey, let me say this.
There's no way.
There was a par 5 that they had to move up super far because they were like fixing something. So it's his score has an asterisk by it. I will say that.
Oh, he didn't tell us that. He
didn't tell you guys that, I bet. But they had to move the tee box up about 200 yards.
That's like half of it.
Yep.
Oh,
So, yeah. All right.
He's been exposed.
Yes.
Got it. No, we were saying that, like, did you guys all have to have like your own golf carts? Because that's just like a lot of weight in one.
It is a lot of weight in one.
There's some big dudes.
Yeah, we try and split it up. So I think Ellsbury weighs more than Cade Pieper and I. We put him with Orr, and then Pieper and I even it out quite a bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. You just hope it's kind of a flat course.
Yeah, we drive slow. Yeah, we drive slow. Yeah. No hills, thankfully.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so then you get into high school.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play any other sports, or did you kind of specialize in football at that point?
Football, basketball, and then track.
Okay.
Yep, I was football and track were my favorite sports, or what I was best at, I guess you could say.
Okay, but I also saw something where you said that you are the best hooper in the offensive line round.
Oh, absolutely. None of those guys can hoop. They think they can, which is bad. But I mean, they're big, but they can't move up and down the court. And I know that. And they can barely bend over because their bags hurt and whatnot. They're all old. And, I mean, they just can't move. And to think that they can go out there and play a real basketball game right now, or even one-on-one, is ridiculous. Mason Richmond and Nick DeYoung think they're hoopers too. And they are not. They are so bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're having Mason on the podcast here pretty soon, so I'll be sure to bring that up.
Oh, he's going to say he's the best one, but don't listen to him. It's bad.
The real question then we have is, are you better than Jay?
Higgins?
Yeah.
Well, if I get him in the post, yeah, I'll smoke him, but I'll give him all that guard fancy stuff. But when you get down on the block, I'll take care of him for sure.
Because he was talking smack last year.
Really?
Yeah, he said he's like the LeBron of the football team.
He's not. He's a good. He was a good basketball player fundamentally. You know, he can make some shots, but
he said he was taking Tony Perkins one-on-one easy.
No, what is he talking about? We had to pick someone to go 1-on-1, it's not him. I'd go YA for sure.
Really? Okay.
I mean, you just can't.
No, I'd
It's
be
impossible
scared.
to guard him. He's just ridiculous. But yeah,
That's so good.
yeah.
All right. So what was high school like in terms of, I guess, how you progressed, like with your positions that you played, what recruiting kind of looked like freshman to senior year? What did that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, so I went to school at Lewis Central, and I played with Max Duggan. He played quarterback at TCU, and that helped me out quite a bit just because everybody was coming to watch him at the time, and then that gave me an opportunity to get recruited quite a bit. So going into my sophomore year, Max had Minnesota come to the school, I believe, and they were recruiting him, talking to him, and my coaches would go and talk to them and whatnot. And I got invited to a camp eventually, and then that was my first offer that summer, and then things kind of took off from there. And then Iowa was my third offer at a junior day. What year was that? Just old, probably like 2018, I think, something like 2019 or 2019. They offered me, and from there I was just like, and Coach Morgan was there at the time too, so he was the defense line coach. I was getting recruited for defense line at the time. Love Coach Morgan, a great guy. He's still around the facility all the time.
He can't get away, man.
He loves it. He loves it. And it's super cool because he knows so much about defense line, but he also coached offensive line back in the day. Really good offensive line coach. Whenever like we're at practice or something, he watches the film after, and he'll like throw some stuff like, you need to do this, or like, get better at this, and it just like he knows like what the defense needs to do and offense, so it gives you perspective on things.
And he'd been coach for so long too.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so good at it too. But yeah, Coach Morgan, really, after I talked to him, I kind of knew like, I want to come here. This is the spot for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Was he who was your main point of contact prior to, or was Coach Morgan kind of the main guy?
Coach Morgan was the main guy, and then he retired. So really it was after I committed in 2019. He retired, and then Coach Woods kind of took over that area and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you know Coach Woods recruits a lot of dudes?
Yeah. Coach Woods recruits a lot of
he
guys.
gets out there. Yeah.
So he recruited me to Iowa.
Yeah.
And Zach.
We had him on. Yep. Zach, Josie.
Mm-hmm.
Recruit a lot of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So then I guess too, that's kind of interesting for you, and your main point of contact and kind of like the person that sold you on coming to Iowa retires. Was there ever a point where you're like, oh shoot? Or was it just like you're sold anyway?
I just kind of understood what the program was about. And like, you look at our staff, like everybody's been here for so long, and Coach Morgan had been there for so long. And Coach Bell, obviously a great coach, love him. But I kind of knew, like, regardless of what happens, Coach Ferentz he's still going to be there, and the standard's still going to be the standard. Like, nothing's going to change. And Coach Morgan's still around because he loves it so much, right? And I knew they'd bring a great coach in, and it was Coach Neiman, who's a great coach. So I mean, I knew nothing was really going to change. It was all going to be the same for the most part.
Yeah, that's really special.
Yeah.
When you can look at a whole program like that and see so much continuity, just gives you a really nice feeling about just a comfortability, even if one little thing were to change.
Yeah.
Yet another guy that talks about the culture is what sold him and not money or anything else, which had NIL become a thing while you were being recruited? Or was it just in the talks?
I mean, it was always like in the talks, but I don't think, what was it, like 2 years ago?
I can't remember when they opened up the floodgates. I know it's been relatively recent, but
yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago. I think going into my third year is when it opened up. But yeah, I mean, it's just been crazy since then.
I was going to ask you, how different has it been since all of that has started?
It's just so, like, I'm lucky because I'm like already in college and whatnot. We're kind of like the test dummies or rabbits or whatever you want to say. But like those high school kids, I honestly kind of feel bad because like with the transfer portal now and then NIL and all this stuff, it's just making it like kind of a money game at this point. And it's kind of sad to see just like the way college football is handling it and whatnot. I feel like there was just so much more incentive to actually want to play football. Like when I was being recruited, like you want to be good at football and that was your incentive. But now I feel like it's all about who can pay the most. And then instead of wanting to play good, it's like, who's going to pay me? Now that's your incentive.
Sure.
And it's just weird how college football is taking a turn like that. But I'm hoping they can, because I think it's a good thing too for like people who like walk on. get opportunities to, make money and do those things. And Swarm's been great with like getting out in the community and helping those guys. But hopefully, we can start to like regulate this a little bit better in the future.
And, sorry, go ahead.
No. It's one thing when you say, because I think when it all kind of opened up, like Iowa, like as an athletic department, and especially, I mean, not especially, but football is known for like an amazing culture of like grassroots, walk-ons that really make a big impact. Like just that kind of, people love those stories, and just they come to play football because they love the University of Iowa, or they love Coach Ferentz, they love the culture, right? Like, and the fans love that. They love the storylines. Like it's just always something like traditional that we've all been kind of pulled to. And then you pull in this whole idea of like, okay, now we have to pay them and, like the transfer portal and, whatever it is. And I think that kind of freaked people out, especially fans. And they're kind of like, oh, well, that's not what we're about. Yeah. Right. Like you knew that was happening at other schools one way or another under the table. Well, now it's all out on the table. Right. And so I think that kind of freaks some people out. But like we were talking about having Zach on, like he was talking about, just being recruited a couple of years ago. And he's like, yeah, like there was a bunch of schools that were, wanted to hand you this or that, or they had all the facilities and the gear and the, whatever it might be. He's like, but really I was looking for the culture that was going to fit me. And so it's like, well, people that are coming to Iowa, I think more times than not are going to be looking for that. Yeah. And those are the kind of people that Coach Ferentz and his staff are so good at finding. Yeah. So that's kind of the flip side of it too, where it's like all of college football is kind of like, like, I don't know how I feel about all this, but when you're looking at the University of Iowa and just how Coach Ferentz handles all of this, I really think that they do a good job of still getting the guys that fit this culture. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I don't think Coach Ferentz is going to bring in anybody who's going to like harm, this program. I think people realize that, if you come here, like you're going to have to work really hard if you want to be good. And, that's the way it's been done here since forever, right? Once Coach Fry was here, AF, that's just like the way things are done, and that's the standard of how we operate, and it's going to continue. I think NIL has played a role at other programs and whatnot, but it doesn't here, and I think that's where we separate ourselves from other people.
Sure. Yeah, totally agree.
I think there's enough influence from NIL just to help with guys, like you had mentioned. But I also think that because it's interesting. Like as I'm hearing you talk, I remember when I was coming up, like developmental program almost seemed like a bad thing because it was like you want guys to come in and play as true freshmen. And thankfully, like I was lucky to be a class. I think we had 4 guys play as true freshmen. Okay. And like that was a lot at that time, right? Now they did the 4-game rule where you can keep your red shirt and stuff. So that's kind of changed things. Yeah. But it had kind of a stigma of like, that's a developmental program. You don't want to go there if you want to go play. But now it's kind of turned into, wait, I was one of the few developmental programs that still wants to put guys in the league year in and year out. And they do. Yeah. Especially, I didn't mean to go down this road, but especially at your position. Yep. Right? And I mean, you're following the footsteps of a dude. You're almost not going to say the same story, but at Iowa, going from defense to offense, they literally gave you his jersey number. Like all that stuff that you think about the guys before him, James Daniels, Austin Blythe, like you can go back a couple different decades, or not decades, but generations of players. And it's really cool to like see that the developmental program has a good stigma, I think. And maybe there's just us talking in a chamber or whatever, but it pans out when guys are playing on Sundays. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's just like one of the coolest things about this program is like, yeah, it might stink like your first and like second year. Like it would like it's hard. You can go through it. Yeah, like but like I wanted to be out there. I wanted to be playing like with my teammates and go out there because I was injured my second year and it stinks. Like you're just sitting on the sideline or even in the stands, like watching your guys. It's like, wow, this really stinks. But at the same time, it motivates you. At the same time, like I want to be out there, but in order to do that, I have to take care of these things. And honestly, I think like sitting those first 2 years helped me so much because it just like made you appreciate the sport so much more and like being out there. And that third year came and I was just like all the work you have to put in, like makes you realize it's worth it, right? You're not just doing it for nothing. And right. I think that's just so special, especially about this program, like developing like not only as like a football player, but I think like as a man, like who I came in as, like I was a young kid, literally had no idea what anything was. Couldn't tell you a personnel group, no idea what anything was. So like knowing so much more now, like I think that's just so beneficial. And people are starting to like lose sight of that, but like Coach Ferentz does such a great job of like developing like young men, and I think that's what helps people become better football players at the end of the day.
The other thing is too is we talk about guys like Jay, who's sitting behind guys like Jack Campbell.
It's like, yeah, like he had to wait his turn, but he also had the opportunity like to experience what that's like to learn from somebody that's at that level, right? And like being able to pull from a guy like that's something really unique too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of the same thing with you as well.
Yeah, and it came to no surprise to me that Jay did so well. Like you have Jack Campbell, one of like the greatest like guys and football players, come through this program, and Jay got to sit behind him. And Jay did what he played special teams this freshman year. So like Coach Woods does a great job with that too. Like if you can be a guy on special teams, like you're gonna have an opportunity to play on Saturdays, like when it comes to like your time. So like sitting behind Jack, like he gave Jay like this opportunity and Seth Benson, super smart. Like those guys were just dogs, and to just learn and everything and see what they did, and then when he came in like that last year, his first year, like starting at Mike, he just took it and ran. Like he knew exactly what he needed to do. And, Jack and Seth, they taught him everything, and Jay did a great job of just, being consistent, showing up every day. And I'm sure he had opportunities to go other places and play, but it panned out for him and he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
So you talked about, obviously, you know a lot more now than you did when you walked in.
Yeah.
All of us are dummies when we walk in, right?
Gosh, yeah.
But so you relearned some stuff when you got there, obviously D-line.
Yeah.
What was the conversation like when they were like, hey, by the way, we're going to flip you over? Like, was it one of those things where if you want to take this opportunity, you can? To share a little bit about when I got to Iowa, I met with Coach Ferentz and he was like, hey, you can either play DB or wide receiver. Yeah. We're short on wide receivers, so we'd like you to start there, but don't be surprised if you shift over to DB just because, like, if things pan out that way. And I said, I'd rather play offense because, I want to play on the good side of the ball.
Yeah.
But so like, it was a really like quick conversation, but I wasn't in the program yet. So how did your conversation kind of transpire?
Yeah. So I remember it was right after that 21 season. So we were doing skills and drills. Just before skills and drills actually had started, Coach Ferentz, there were rumors going around. I didn't know what to believe.
Wait, people are already talking?
Yeah, it somehow got around that I was, I was going to get moved or something, and I was getting texts from, Coach Bell before this had transpired. But Coach Ferentz text me and asked if I can come meet with him. And he said, I think, we obviously did this with Tyler, and we think, it could be beneficial, like for you to go to the other side of the ball too. And he gave me like the choice on whether or not I wanted to, and gave me like a week to think about it. And then we had our first skills and drills. I was with the defense that first day, and then the next day, I talked to him again. I was like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. And I think Tyler, just seeing the way like everything that happened with him and how everything worked out, like I was like, and I think I want to do this. And I played offensive line in high school too, and I'm
sure you had some kind of like fundamental knowledge of it.
Yeah, but I just think like the hardest part at that time was like I was so close with the defensive line. Like I love those guys. Like I still live with Ethan Herkett, our defensive end. I just love being with those guys, and like Logan Lee, Joe Evans, Y.A. Black, like super close with those guys still. Yeah, but like just having to leave that room was probably the hardest thing. But I realized it was probably in my like best interest to switch sides of the ball. And, I think I don't regret that decision at all. I think the room is probably the most important part for me, is just like the guys who you're around. And Coach Barnett has done a great job with that too. And like bringing in the right guys. And I love the dudes I'm around. And that's the biggest thing, they make it fun to want to come in and go to practice, and, you get to play for them on Saturdays. So, I love it, and I love playing offensive line.
And I know it probably had a lot more. I'm not saying that you don't have to know as much on the defensive line, because I'm sure you've got your own jargon and verbiage and stuff. I'm not going to act like I know enough on the front. And, but you got stunts, you got different zones that you're probably working through. But offensive line, you are like the mindset. Like you are, as a center, like you got to know every pass protection. You got to know where the idea is. I don't know if you still call him the buck. We called him the buck when I was there. Like being able to set all that kind of stuff up. Was there a massive learning curve in something like that where like, I don't know, maybe it just comes easy to you? Like, I don't know what was that like when you had to basically relearn everything that you had been doing?
Yeah, it was definitely a process, trying to learn everything. Coach Barnett just said, like, I don't want you to be like a robot and, just overthink everything. I want you to go out and play, right? Like, and then things will come natural. So, I did that, and things did come natural. That first year was tough. Just learning everything, seeing all these new fronts, playing a 3 down when, all camp I'm going against the 4
Right.
down.
Yeah.
It's
That
like,
3
oh
4.
my
That
God.
first 3-4 is always wild,
It's
even
like,
for
oh,
receivers.
Yeah. I'm like, what is going on right now? So that first year was definitely a learning curve and learning all that. But then you have guys, I remember James Ferentz, he would come back and, just, we'd watch film with him and he,
That's nice.
he's talking to me, like all these guys coming back, helping me. And, I think that second year things started to like make sense a little bit more. I knew what I was doing. And then I had guys like the left and right of me that, knew the fronts. Tyler Ellsbury, he's super smart, knows just about everything. Yeah, it definitely took some time. And I think just being confident too with like your calls, even if I make the wrong call, just being confident with it. And, you can be right if you're just going hard. So, yeah, I think it just comes with experience. The more experience you have, the more confident you get. But yeah, it definitely took me that whole first year and then that spring to get more comfortable with everything I was seeing.
It's really cool to like hear guys embracing a position change because when it happens, like usually it pans out pretty well. Like I'm thinking about Dallas Clark. Yeah. I don't know how many times Coach Ferentz told us that he was like the 5th string linebacker, switches over and becomes an All-American tight end. Yeah. But like just guys that he sees, and obviously Linderbaum before you and then now you, it's just cool to not only have the wherewithal of you to say, I'm going to do this because, the coaches say it's best for me and I'm going to trust him, but also the coaches to see that in us and to say, hey, we actually think he's going to be a dog on the other side. Like, let's give him a shot. I've seen some guys switch back and forth. Josh Jackson was a guy that went to receiver and DB, and then he got drafted, I think, in the 2nd round by the Packers. Like, but they tested him at receiver. They're like, hey, I think you're going to do better on the other side of the ball. And then he has, I think, still the one-handed catch against Ohio State. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure they still show that one. Oh, yeah. But to see that in a player, I think is really cool that this staff, and I'm sure it happens at other programs, maybe we just are privy to it more.
Yeah, I think Coach Ferentz, he's just seen so much football too. He kind of knows what he's talking about. So if he says, hey, like, I think you'd be better, it's like, all right, yeah, you're definitely right. You know a lot more than I do. So like, yeah, this is definitely the smart thing to do.
So kind of going back to your freshman year, that would have been 2020, right? 2020. When you came in.
Yep.
So redshirted that year. And then that sophomore year is when you got the injury. What exactly happened?
Yeah. So I got the injury in 8th grade. I was an idiot. I was trying to dunk a basketball. Didn't work out. MPFL, I think it was, but I just put a knee brace on, played through it. My knee would like dislocate. And it just happened all the time. And then
what?
Yeah.
You just let it happen and then just put the brace on?
Yeah, you put the brace on, it happens. Just try and slip it back down and go. It was awful. I hated it, but I had to deal with it for 6 years or something. Yeah, my freshman year.
My goodness.
And then, that spring, I remember we were in skills and drills. I was doing this leverage drill with YA. Slipped out. I was like, oh, crap. Right before spring ball. And then we had a lift. We were stretching. Some weird stretch, and then I moved, it slipped out again. I was like, oh crap, like this isn't good. Tried to practice through it and whatnot, because at that time we literally only had 5 defensive linemen in the spring.
Oh no.
And so we were doing 9 on I had to be out. Everybody was hurt.
And those are 135-minute practices.
I was like, I'm running with the ones right now. Like, oh my gosh, this is sweet. I'm not going to say anything. But then it happened in that first Kinnick practice again. And I kind of knew at that point, like, I needed to get this fixed. So I sat out from, when was I? I think I got surgery in April up until mid-season of 21.
Wow.
So you're talking 6 months. Easy.
Yeah, it was a while. And then, I got moved over to scout team. I was there for a couple weeks. Then they moved me to the defensive field. I was, alternating every other day or whatever. And then they needed a center for scout team. So they moved me to center to play scout team there. And then I started traveling, which was nice. I got to travel, which was really cool that second year. But it was just so long. It was just awful. And that year was pretty tough for me, but I think I learned so much from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think are some of the most important lessons you learned from something like that? There's got to be a multitude of them.
Yeah. I remember we were sitting there. Coach Bell would always say, your availability is your best ability, right? And, I wasn't available at the time. So I was like trying everything I could to get ready. But I remember I wrote down on this paper, like, what is your why? Like, why are you here? And it's hanging up in my room, but like, what is your why? Like, and then I feel like throughout like that whole season. Like that's where things kind of shifted for me, like perspective and learning everything. Like you can't control the situation you're in, but like it was inevitable, like it was going to happen. But like what you do now is like who you are. And I really tried to, come in every day, even though I was on the scout team, try and give them the best look and, try and make them better, because it was only going to make me better at the end of the day. Right. And, even though I was playing scout team center, it kind of worked out, right? Like who would have thought I would
hindsight.
Yeah. So I just tried to come in every day, despite, your body hurting, things suck. You don't like some days you just, you don't want to be out there at practice, but if you can just come in and, be the same guy every day, like that's just going to help you in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, like 6 to 8 months of total recovery. That's really tough.
Yeah, it was long for sure.
Yeah. So when you say it was like slipping out, you would just like put your knee back in yourself?
Yeah, I'd have to come out, and then like I'd straighten it, just shift it over and strap up the brace and then try and go. It happened more in high school where I'd, go back out there and whatnot. But yeah.
Wow. That's insane. Did it hurt when that happened, or just like uncomfy?
It hurt a little bit. It was just weird too. Like you just like your knee would go dead and you'd fall on the ground. I hate it. It was the worst. Yeah.
Do you still wear a brace on it, or is just kind of?
I wear the O-line braces that we have.
Gotcha.
So O-line always has to wear braces.
Gotcha. I actually did not know that you were required to.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting. And that just like is to
protect
your knees.
Yeah. I kind of like them. Everybody else hates them, but I just feel so much.
It's a very select few that are like, I actually like them. But
well, when your knee is actually popping out of itself, it might feel kind of nice to
absolutely.
that extra.
Yeah.
Oh man, well we're just so glad.
I'm glad you got it fixed.
Yeah, no, me too.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can imagine having to deal with that still.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so then you go to 2022 and you're showing up, every single day trying to be the same guy, right? And then all of a sudden you switch over to a different position and you're starting all 13 games. What was that like switch like when you got to that first game, you're like, oh man, I'm starting. As the starting center. A year prior, you were like down and out, right? With that injury. I mean, what is that kind of like? That's got to be kind of like whiplash, but in a good way, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was just surreal. I mean, so that first game, I started to go to state. I'm freaking out. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually going to be out there, like walking out to Back in Black, seeing everybody. I was like, this is real now. Like I'm about to be playing in a college football game, which the year before I was like, maybe I won't ever play. Right. And then, next thing you know, I'm starting, and that first game was ugly. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just out there running around trying to hit people, didn't know where I was going, who the buck was. Like I'd just get the ball to the quarterback and then we'll go from there and whatnot. But
actually, I love that.
It was like middle school football. Like you didn't know who you were going to. I was just out there running. People are looking at me to make a call. I was like, I don't know. How about you make the call? Geez, somebody else do it.
Geez, guys, I just got here.
Yeah, this is a 3 down. I've only seen 4 down. Come on now. But yeah, going through that first game, it was just like, what am I doing? And then, things slowly started to like, after that first snap, it's kind of like, okay, like make the call. Like that's your job. You got to do this. And like from that first game, like to the second game, I kind of realized like, I have to make the call. I have to do like things right because I'm the center, right? Like they have to know where they're working. But yeah, things started to slow down a little bit for me, and I just tried to do that. And Spencer Petrus was a quarterback at the time. He helped me out quite a bit with that. Just giving me tips like that Lindy would do, like things that Lindy would do, and that helped me out quite a bit. Just try and slow the game down a little bit. And to do that, you have to play fast. So like it was like throughout the whole season, like my snaps were always late. Like I wasn't getting the ball back there.
You talking late on the cadence?
Yeah, they were late on the cadence. I was always like the last one on the center. I should probably be the first one. So just like Spence would always talk to me about that, and that just helped me so much more. Like if I can just be the first one off the ball, like one, they're gonna be slower than me off the ball, the defense guy, because they don't know where we're going or play call. But that just helped me so much, and like slowing everything down too.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really big change. And then go to 2023, and you were third team All Big Ten. And then fast forward to this season, in your preseason, first team All Big Ten. I mean, preseason stuff, I know.
Yeah.
Even postseason stuff, you guys don't.
We know
really,
the media training. We know.
You guys don't look too close into that kind of stuff, but Gosh, I just think, your journey is just so unique. And it's unique, but it's also not unique to Iowa football because as we've talked about, like the developmental side of everything and Coach Ferentz just knowing so much and having so much experience, it's not like overly surprising, but it's just a really beautiful thing to see, like from that freshman year, how everything has kind of transpired for you. So congratulations on that preseason.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of want to go back to, I don't know when you broke this record. Maybe like, it might've been like 2023 squat record all time at Iowa. Is that right?
Yeah. Was it last year? I think it was last year.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Doing from his knee being on the side of him to squatting 7 bills.
Yeah. That was, geez, I remember that day too. Logan Lee, super geek, just all into this science stuff. Like,
because he had a whoop on when he was here.
Yeah, super geek and all that stuff. I remember that day, max out day. You have everybody around you. You feel like you're Superman. Like, I'm gonna do this for however many reps. But yeah, it was wild. It was a good day.
Do you know how much weight you actually had on the bar? Because I know the 1 rep max is indicative of like if you did 640 8 times or something like that. Which I mean, that's jeez. I put out a high number there.
Yeah. I think it was like I had like 585 for like 8 or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's insane. Have you always been really good at lifting weights, or was that kind of like an Iowa thing?
Our strength and conditioning program at Lewis Central was always pretty good for the most part, and I loved lifting, so I always loved that lifting and running stuff. It was always fun.
Yeah, there's not too many guys that like lifting. I don't feel like, or maybe that's just you.
Yeah.
I didn't not like lifting, but when you're small, you don't like lifting as much.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I got to Iowa and that got beat out of me. But in high school, I was definitely like allergic to the weight room.
Oh yeah.
I was one of the fast guys that could run, so I'll just deal with that. But
just let that go.
You don't have.
Sorry, just calling it like it is. You also had a couple of other records, right? Is it bench and hang clean? Do I have that correct?
I don't know the bench. Brueggemann has that, but it was hang clean, vert, pro, and 10-yard.
Okay.
For centers. Yeah.
Gotcha. What's your vertical?
37, I think it was.
Wait, that's really good.
It's like 2 years ago, I think. So I was a little bit lighter then, switching from D-line to O-line.
But now you're stronger, so that might just
wait,
even
is that
out.
jump pad 37 or is that vertex?
Jump pad.
Okay, so that's like a 28.
Yeah,
I'm not.
probably.
Okay.
I'm not here then. He's jumping as high as I am. I'm not taking it.
Everybody else is doing the jump pad thing, so the fact that he has the highest one says something about it.
No, that's true.
Yeah, relax. And then bench, what was that? I mean, sorry, not bench. You said hang clean. That was the other one. Yeah.
Oh, geez. 2 years. 470, I think it was.
Okay. I like how you try to be like humble about it. Like, let me think. I don't really remember.
Yeah,
you
exactly
definitely.
It's right here, but he's like, I don't know.
Just takes you 470.
Yeah, worst was 500. I was hoping to get it this last winter, but I didn't get to because of the labrum surgery. But
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, that's wild.
I think Jennings Dunker. Have you guys had Dunker?
We haven't had him on, no.
He'll be a good one, I think. He's hilarious.
Just based on his hairstyle alone.
Yeah,
we
he's
need
on.
to get him
Did
on.
you guys see his mic'd up?
Yes.
Just
a
an
I don't know if I might have missed it.
No,
I gotta
it's
go back
good.
and look.
He's just an interesting guy, but I think he'll get the squat record
Okay.
next year in the winter. He just hasn't had a healthy winter. It's something with his foot or something always, but freakishly strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the hair.
I think it is the hair and the mustache.
Grow one out for yourself and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, well, I might have to.
Your vert would be.
Freaky.
Oh, could you imagine the
42.
flow as you're jumping
I'm
up?
saying.
He
He does look good. It's like a unicorn.
Yeah. Somebody,
fact.
I think it was somebody like a news personality or something, was like, the University of Iowa always has a guy that looks like this and he's always a dog. Like, there usually is like one guy that's got some goofy going on,
Yeah.
but like totally pulls it off because it's
Yeah.
just like so good.
That's
Like,
that's done. Last year he had a buzz cut too, so I think the mullet fits him a lot better now.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. That's really cool. There's something else I was going to say and I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was related to the weight room or not. You can cut this out, by the way.
Yellow pants.
Yeah, sorry. Yellow pants. That's the one. Hobbies. Is there anything else like outside of football that you like to do?
Yeah, so I like to golf sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you like to golf.
Sometimes I like to golf. It's been a while since
That's the most realistic golf answer I've ever heard.
It's just so frustrating. I went out and got a 3-wood. I was like, this is going to fix my game. 2 weeks later, the head flew off my club. I was like, oh my gosh. I just have to
You get
quit.
it from like Played Against, no offense to Played Against Sports, but you get it like from there.
I got it at Shields. So I was like, this should be a good one. Took it. They fixed it. I haven't picked it up yet, but
Okay, that's nice. At least they stood by it.
so frustrating. And then I like to hunt too. I got into hunting a couple of years ago. I enjoy doing that.
What season do you go out?
Turkey. We'll do turkey, and then it's hard to go deer.
I was going to say, you probably don't get a whole lot of time.
Yeah, I don't get a whole lot of time, which sucks. And then our bye week isn't like, it's just a week too early before deer season opens, I believe. So we won't be able to do that. And most annoying thing is like when we do go, it's like bad timing. So last year we went out, Herkett and I, just sitting there for hours in the freezing cold, didn't see a single deer. It's like, oh my gosh, did the same thing the next day, didn't see a single one.
And you're going out at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Probably. Just dumb.
And then we go turkey hunting. We see it, like it's out there, it's huge. We're trying to sneak up behind and I don't know if it hurt us or something, missed it. So I've yet to get a turkey or a deer, but we did get pheasants.
There you go.
Yeah,
Pheasant's really good.
yeah. We went out to Austin Blythe's place, Legacy Acres.
Okay,
This
yeah.
is a pretty cool spot. Got one, felt awesome. It was pretty cool. I was super excited about it. So yeah, that kind of got me hooked.
So
you-
we were going to ask the same question.
Did you do that like before you got to college, or did somebody here kind of introduce you to that?
I don't even know what really got me into it. That just seems like everybody at Iowa likes to go hunting,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, okay. I literally don't have any other, like, I didn't pick up golf until I got here, or, hunting until I got here. But hunting is just so much more peaceful. Like I might stink getting up at 4 a.m., but then you like sit there and, watch the sunrise. And it's just awesome. I love it.
I remember, I think Cade got into hunting once he came here
Cade's big
too.
into hunting.
Did he hunt before?
No, he's a Cali boy.
You said it, not me. But when I
Yeah.
saw like photos of him like holding up some sort of animal that he got or whatever, like some Instagram thing, I was like, that just like, it's like pretty guy. And then the hunting,
and the thing
it's
is-
something Iowa brings out in him. I don't know.
He was in a wife beater. He was wearing a wife beater. He had camo whatever on it.
Yes,
and it was
now I
like
know
a
the
shark
photo.
tooth necklace around his neck. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what? And he always tries to say he's like more Iowan than people from Iowa or his country. I'm like, you are the furthest thing from it, dude. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's so
Ridiculous.
good. This is the honesty you get from the offensive line.
Yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. But recently, I think kind of recently, you got engaged, right?
I did.
When was this?
Congrats, man.
It was like, thank you. Geez. Oh, I shouldn't have that. July 13th. Yeah, geez. Yeah, so did it in Kinnick,
Okay.
which was pretty cool. She had no idea. So I told her there was a recruit, like it was official visit weekend, which it wasn't, and went down and to Kinnick and set up some. I didn't set up. Her roommate, who's super creative, did like some candles around the 50. And it was pretty cool. I loved it.
That's awesome. What's her name?
Amber.
Amber.
She's on the track and cross country team here too. So
Very cool. What does she run?
she does like in cross country, and then she'll do like the 15 and the 8 is what she's majors in. Yeah, pretty good.
Man.
Yeah.
That's great. That takes a lot of.
Yeah. I
A
tried to
lot
go on a
of
run with her once. It was right after labrum surgery. They wouldn't let me do anything. I was like, I'm
Right.
so out of shape. I feel fat, which I was really big at that time, like 3 something, which I've never reached before. I need to go on a run.
Are you less than 3 now?
Depends on the day. I said, like in camp, I got heavy. I was like 303. But now I'm sitting at like 293, 294. So
So, I mean, you fluctuate.
yeah, I fluctuate. Went for a jog, went 0.52, so half a mile. Thought I was going to die. Couldn't breathe, laying on the ground. I was like, oh my gosh, like I will never do that again.
I can't imagine. What's her mile time, you think? Does she, she probably doesn't run a mile very often, but
Mhm. So she runs Chase. She runs the 15. I think 15's indoor, or no, 15's. Jeez, I feel like such a bad person for not knowing this. But she
15 is
runs
close.
15 and 16. Her mile time is 4.
no. Immediately no.
I think it's 4 something.
That's insane.
I want to say 441 or something like that. Yeah, she's a stud.
That's incredible.
It is.
So trying to run a half mile with that, forget it.
Yeah.
No.
Watching her, like, it makes me so, like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, you go and watch, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw up. I'm so nervous for you. And I'm not even doing anything right now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Do you get more nervous watching her than you do playing yourself?
Jeez, it's literally just the build up of anything. I think I get like once you get in it, it's like, okay, we're fine. But it probably just as nervous. I get pretty nervous for that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
Athletes in Action was Logan Lee had introduced me to Athletes in Action, which is a faith organization here at the University of Iowa. Saw her there, pretty good looking girl, didn't know how to talk in person, so I messaged her on Instagram. And
wait, you found her profile and then just sent her a random DM?
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's just the modern way to do
it's
things.
It's the way of the world, Matt.
Yeah, I should have been a man and went up to her and asked her in person, but yeah.
Hey, game is game. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, yep, we went to Dairy Queen and went for a drive that first night, and then took a while to ask her out. It actually took like 7 months. 7 months, yeah, I know. Oh, that was more her fault than mine. I will say that was more her fault than mine. But yeah, eventually all worked out.
Cool. How long have you guys been together?
A little over 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now engaged. Do you have a wedding date yet?
July 12th.
Oh, so like almost exactly a year from engagement date.
Yep.
Very cool. Where at?
Sioux City, Iowa.
Is that where she's from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a busy year because my roommate Ethan Herkett got engaged literally a week before.
No way.
Which is kind of funny. So yeah, that'll be the week before, and then pretty busy.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I feel like when he was playing, you were like the only engaged.
I started a trend.
Yeah, like married guy on the team, which was like so.
Because then Josie proposed shortly after me. LaShawn proposed.
But it seems like so many guys are getting engaged while they're still playing. But the other caveat to that could be that some guys have COVID years, so they're like a year older.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like there's more like engaged / married guys.
Yeah,
like,
there are quite a bit. I think so. Graves, me, Herkett, Jameson Hines.
Dang.
Like 4 dudes right now.
But that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is. It's quite a bit.
I'm telling you, that developmental program just breeds men.
It does.
It's not.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's really exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah,
What are you studying?
Sport and recreation management. Got my degree.
Okay.
So yeah, I graduated last spring.
So you're in like grad school right now then?
I'm in some weird classes right now.
Yeah, I did the same
What are
thing.
you taking?
I'm like money wise.
That's a good one.
Yes.
I don't even know my other classes right now. I just, it's so bad. Like I'm just doing whatever assignments shows up. It's pretty bad.
How many do you have to
Health
take?
and aging is the other one, actually.
I think you have to take 12 and you have to
12.
pass 6.
Yeah, which is
I know this because I did that my 5th year.
It makes no sense. So if I were to push my graduation date to this December, I would only have to take 3 semester hours.
Oh.
But since I didn't have to take 12.
So because you were an overachiever,
Yep.
you got screwed.
Yeah, kind of. Jeez. Yeah, it'll all work itself. I want to take pickleball because I like pickleball a lot, actually.
I took ping pong.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a solid class.
Yeah. It's pretty
Pickleball would
fun.
be good.
Pickleball is pretty. Have you guys played pickleball?
No, we haven't.
Oh my
Well, we're
gosh.
about to
I
get,
know.
she's going to go pick up a net today.
Yeah.
Really?
Put it in the
Because
backyard.
Dax, our son who's 3,
Yeah.
he really likes to play
He played it
pickleball.
once. Now
It's
he's
so
like, we
much
have
fun.
to
He's
have
hooked.
one.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What is like the allure? Like, why do people like it so much? What is it about it?
I get because everybody can play. I like.
Is it because it's easy?
Yeah, kinda ish.
Is it that it's not a lot of quick twitch movements? I mean, it can be, but it's not. meant to
but
be
like, yeah, older people can play too. Like everybody can play for the most part. Well, it's easier in tennis. It's kind of like ping pong almost ish. Super competitive though. I played it 2 times now. One with the O line at this event. And it's just so much fun. I mean, anybody can do it. But
Did you win the event?
yeah, we beat Mason and Connor Colby. Absolutely,
Who's
destroyed
your
them.
teammate?
Absolutely
Nick
destroyed.
DeYoung. Nick DeYoung. Yep.
Final
I'm just
score?
picturing.
Huh?
Final score? I know you know this.
The final. Well, they do the scoring system's so weird. You have to it's like 1-0 something. They make
Oh,
rules
there's
for it.
more.
Yeah, when it should just be so simple. But we blew the second game. We were up like 8 points, and then we lose. And then the last game was a battle. Didn't talk to each other after the game. That's how competitive it was. But yeah, it was fun. We won the series 2-1.
Oh,
Good deal.
it's funny. I'm just picturing like all of you, like really tall, large men with these small pickleball paddles. Like just like, the irony of it.
Yeah.
It's like so like a juxtaposition. That's so good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You guys are gonna have to get into it. Once you do, you're hooked.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
Then you have to like to have the custom paddles and all this stuff.
I was trying to get custom paddles, but Amber, she wouldn't let me get them. The paddles are pretty expensive, I will say, but she wouldn't let me go get them, which is probably smart. I'd waste some money, like $150 for a paddle.
Okay, yeah.
Where's the NIL deals?
Yeah,
This is where it
I need
comes
to reach
in.
out to them. Gosh, yeah.
Just have your face on the paddle or something.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to beat your face up. Let's change that. Maybe
Yeah.
just an LJ and 65 on the other side.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That'd actually be really cool.
That'd be
Black
cool.
one and like a little gold on
The
it.
black with the
That's
Is
awesome.
it all wooden? Is it a
It's
wooden
like-
paddle? There's no like ping pong's padded
Yeah.
typically.
There's an aluminum paddle, and then there's like a fancy plastic. I don't know what it would be called. Yeah, be nice though.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you and Amber like to do? Do you guys have like a dog or anything or any kind of like hobbies? You guys are both so busy. You don't have time for a dog.
I tried to get a dog. I did get a dog.
Oh no. What'd you do?
Did
with
get a
it?
dog. His name's Samson.
Mhm.
Why did that
Got
start with I tried to get a dog?
Dude, yeah, here's the thing. Got a dog. And then I asked my landlord, I was like, hey, can I have a dog here?
Oh.
They said no. So
You just got to ask for forgiveness, not
I know,
permission. You
I
just
should've
do it.
should have just kept him. But the thing, he is so bad. So crazy. And he's a golden retriever. And I feel like for the most part, it's either a really good dog or they're not at all. And he's not at all. So sent him back home with my sister. So now it's their dog now. So
Got it.
They love him. Well, crazy dog though. Hopefully next time I get a little calmer dog that fits my
Right.
style.
Golden Retriever feels like a safe choice though.
Yeah, he's awesome. A lot of energy, but
Mhm.
I don't know if I can keep up with all that energy.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you live in a house or an apartment?
I live in a house.
Okay. Roommates?
Yeah, 3.
Okay. Who do
You
you
say he
live
still lives with Ethan.
with? Okay.
Burkett, Quinn Schulte, and then a baseball player, Brant Hogue, one of our pitchers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Quinn seems like somebody that's like really quiet until he's like says something really funny. Is that
That's
true?
exactly what I mean, he is such old man humor. Like he'll just say the same like old jokes over and over again, and it's not even funny. But the fact that it's not funny is funny. So yeah, that's kind of his personality.
That checks out then.
Yeah.
Okay. I read that one right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned athletes in action.
Yeah.
So Jim Goodrich was in charge when I was
Yeah.
there. Is he still
Yeah.
running it?
Yep.
So based on that, how does faith kind of play a role in your life now? Do you think about it like while you're playing? Is it something that like what role does it play?
Yeah. So really, like I didn't know much about faith until I got to college here. Logan Lee, like as I alluded to, introduced me to athletes in action, and then from there I went to UTC, which is the ultimate training camp up in Minneapolis, which really just like opened my eyes. I committed my life to Christ then when I was there, and then just from there, like, I mean, it plays a huge role in everything I do, and I've kind of realized that as I've gotten older, and just the importance of faith, and and I think the biggest thing is just like, despite like I get super anxious before games, but like trying to be able to like cast those anxieties like onto him, and it's not in your control, but like knowing that like he's in control of like everything you do, and you're playing for something bigger than yourself,
Right.
and you just kind of like have to realize that when you're out there. I think that's the biggest thing, and I think the coolest thing too, is seeing the guys in our room starting to like do more like research into like faith and whatnot, and I think that's just seeing it like spread throughout the team is one of the coolest things. Is like if everybody can like realize what they're truly playing for, and knowing it's not themselves, like it's just so cool to see. Like I think prime example was Mason Richmond. So I always put the cross right here. He started doing that, and that was just such a cool moment for me to see him do that. I was like, wow, like that's awesome to just see him, go out there, play for, it's just awesome to see.
It's interesting seeing how different, and I say different loosely, but athletes in action was kind of like a smaller thing when I was on campus.
Yeah.
And I had a foundation of faith, and I think I went a couple times, but like I didn't truly get into my faith until I was done playing.
Yeah.
With how hard it was, and I've talked about this on the podcast, how hard it was to leave my identity, which was just football.
Yep.
And thinking that that's the only worth I have,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that it transcends that.
Yep.
But when you're living it, it's really hard to get out of there until you see the other side.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, Athletes in Action is continuing to grow. In fact, Scott Chandler, do you know the name? He played 10 end at Iowa. He played in the league, I think, for 7 or 8 years. He's the head coach at Liberty High School.
Okay.
And he helped orchestrate like this was FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, which I think are similar. There might be some minor differences. I don't know. But I got to go speak to like 80 some high school kids,
really,
like about that kind of stuff. And it's so interesting to like see how much it's growing just since I've been here for 10 years?
Something like that.
And like those organizations continue to go up. It's very cool.
And just the way that it like permeates the culture. And the way that it can, change the way that not only you think about yourself, but the way you think about like your teammates. And the reason that you guys are all there and all that kind of stuff. And just your guys' relationships and everything is pretty cool too.
I think it's just, especially as an athlete, like like you said, it's easy to put your identity in like what you do, but like that's not who you are. Like, like that's like, we always talk about that. Like, so at like UTC, they talked about that, like audience of one, like you have an audience of one, you're playing for one, and that's all that matters. Right. And I think like, even like now, I think a lot of people struggle, like including myself, like you put your identity in like what you do, and that's football. And like, it's easy to do. Like you're playing college football at Iowa. Like a lot of people know, like you want to embrace it. Like, well, that's not who you are. It's like they love what you do, not who you are. Right. And just realizing that, like, instead of seeing it as that, just know like you're playing for that audience of one, like what's really important, what matters.
And where the value comes from. Like where the matter comes from. Because although you're playing in front of 70,000 when you're 58, you're not going to be, I mean, I hope your NFL career goes that long. But I don't think you're going to be playing in front of 70,000. And like, how does that, are you able to keep that same feeling at that time than now? And that is a very hard transition for most of the guys that I know of when they're done playing. I mean, I personally went through it, like what that looks like if it's in the wrong identity. And so I think it's really important and unbelievably cool that you talked about that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Logan, is there anything else that we should know?
Are there any shameless plugs you want to?
Or like funny stories that you want to throw in there about somebody that, or like a guy we need to have on?
We're not out here just searching for dirt. I mean, this is...
No, it's not dirt. It's just like stuff, like.
Does the O-line like get together? I think Cade had mentioned last time he was on that you guys like get together and like play games. Do you guys still do that? Yeah,
we get together every Thursday night, so our off days, and we'll have dinner or like play games. There's this game that it got pretty competitive. It's basically like you have to try and find who.
Is it kind of like Werewolf?
Yes, it's exactly what that is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's exactly what that is. But that game would get so competitive. We're screaming at my house, just trying to find who it is. But you definitely like lose trust in people. Like, and it carries over for each game. So I don't know if it was like good for the offensive line to play that or not. But yeah, we haven't pulled that game back out in a while. So that game was definitely fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Logan, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
It's really cool to obviously get to know you as a football player, but more as a person and, your hobbies and interests and all that good stuff. And wish you the best with your marriage in less than a year.
Yeah.
And all the things going forward in the season. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Locally owned and operated, Performance is a full-service restoration company serving Eastern Iowa.
As an IICRC certified firm, their multi-licensed technicians have decades of experience in water, mold, and fire mitigation. Whether it's your home or business, this is the team you want in a time of need. Performance Restoration, 319-626-2292.
I love Estella's because it's fresh, from the fresh grilled steak to salsas to their fresh pressed tortillas.
I love Estella's because it's quick. We can get in and out, and it doesn't feel like fast food. It feels like fresh food quick.
We both love Estella's because it's made with love. They put a lot of pride in their food and customer service, and they are locally owned.
That's Estella's Fresh Mex. Fresh food made quick with love. When it comes to keeping our home comfortable, we trust only the best. Loudon Plumbing and Heating. Whether it's fixing a leaky sink, keeping the house cool, or making sure the furnace runs smoothly in winter, Loudon Plumbing and Heating is our go-to. For reliable service, trust the corridor's best. Loudon Plumbing and Heating.
Looking to make a splash online in Eastern Iowa? Digital Boost is your local go-to digital marketing agency. They help local businesses connect with their ideal customers online.
Digital Boost has a diverse client base, ranging from small businesses to industry leaders, including well-known brands like DNR Pest Control and Advanced Millwork.
Visit their website at www.digitalboostia.com to learn more or contact them for a free in-person consultation. Okay, Matt, so we are taking on Minnesota this weekend.
Yep.
Yep. What's the stadium they play in?
TCF Bank Stadium?
Yeah, that's the one. Let me just move this a little bit. So last season, when they came to, are you okay?
Yes, I know where you're going with this. I just didn't want to rehash.
I totally was not going there, but I can. That's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, go to the other part. Go to the other stuff.
Fine. So this is the anniversary of the whatever it's
The
called.
not fair catch that was.
Yeah. Not to like bring it up again. People be like, it wasn't. It was, and then it's just like just stop.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's unfortunate, but it wasn't. So everybody just get over it. But anyway, last year we talked about when they came to Iowa. We talked about what's his name? The Gopher, Goldie. I can't even think of what his name is. Goldie.
That's
Goldie.
how little spot of that's how little of a spot in my brain that it takes up. Because I have no idea.
I know it's somewhere back there.
It's a gopher.
Goldie the Gopher, Minnesota Golden Gophers. So I feel like doesn't matter. Honestly, does not matter. Anyway, I talked about the mascot, which is pretty typical. So I don't want to do it again. And then I also talked about Floyd, which is like the heaviest trophy, and it's made out of brass, I believe. Is that right? You don't know that either. And we talked about all that and kind of like the history of Floyd and all those good things. So if you really want to hear all that information, you can go to season 1 of Talkin Hawks and find that of when we played Minnesota. But anyway, I didn't want to be repetitive. Clearly, I don't remember any of it, so it didn't sink in that well. But I was like, maybe I can look up some like fun facts about the University of Minnesota. Matt, when I tell you there was nothing. Like usually,
I was gonna say, if you can find some, let me know.
I'm going to be completely honest here. I didn't know that Minnesota was that big of a rival for us. Growing up a Hawkeye fan, I didn't know. Like, I don't like Nebraska more than I don't like Minnesota. You know?
Fair. That's fair.
But mostly, like, I don't like Iowa State more than I don't like everybody else.
Also fair.
Only when they're playing Iowa, everybody relax. When they're not playing Iowa, we watch their games. Okay? It's fine.
We don't really watch them.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
We have them on. That's different than watching them.
Either way, you're not from Iowa. You don't get it. But anyway, so I was like, I just typed in, sometimes I'll just like fun facts about whatever the school is. And it'll come up with like, here's 10 funny things about, whatever. And it'll be like something like super interesting. Like at this building on campus, you have to like kiss your girlfriend at midnight on this day, or, like stupid stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, usually there's some sort of something that someone can give me.
Yeah.
Matt, there's nothing about Minnesota. There's nothing funny. It was all so boring. And so I was like, well, I'm not, going to take the time to read this or regurgitate it. So then I looked up like notable people or like celebrities that went to the University of Minnesota. Not a whole lot. There's some.
There's some.
And I'm going to list the ones that like I knew. Because there were some where I was like, other people might know who this is. Like older singers, actresses, actors. There was one that was from like, gosh, I don't even know, like the 1940s. And she was like
Chaplin? Oh, no, female.
Yeah, did Charlie Chaplin go to University of Minnesota?
No, I was just going to say like.
We're just throwing that name out there?
Yeah, I was just going.
Relax. So you already had your monologue. So anyway, there's a lot of that. There was a lot of politicians, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know if they're like a political science type university. Didn't take the time to look that up either. But there was a lot of politicians and like politicians from different countries too, which is really interesting. Like Japan, Germany, some other countries that I don't remember the names of. But either way. And then obviously the United States politicians. But I'm going to go through, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5. And it was a list of 100 that I saw, and I didn't know any of them. I feel so bad. But either way.
I feel like celebrity's kind of subjective, right?
Maybe. Well, Gable Steveson was on there. He's definitely a celebrity.
Yes.
And I didn't write him down, but because I feel like everybody knows that at this point. Brock Lesnar. Familiar with him?
Mm-hmm.
So his college record, do you know what it was?
I don't.
Out of all of his 4 years, 106 and 5.
Dang.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I don't know what Spencer's was. I'm not really sure.
I don't know off the top of my head either.
But he was in like UFC, WWE. I think is he still in WWE or no?
I don't know, but he tried out for the Vikings.
Did he really?
Yep.
Oh,
he
I think
made a roster there for a little bit.
Okay.
Another
one?
He just gets mad at you at practice. Like,
yeah.
No way.
Ric Flair.
Woo.
Yeah, which is now like a thing at Iowa.
Well,
They do
thanks
it
to
for-
Steve Manders.
What do you mean? Thanks to Steve Manders.
Steve Manders started that.
The Woo
Yes.
During
Ric
heavyweight?
Flair at Iowa.
during heavyweight.
Oh, you're talking
Bouts?
at Iowa wrestling. I was gonna say at Iowa football, Steve Manders did it a lot, and he'd be like, "Hit us with a Ric Flair," and then he'd go, "Whoa!"
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about at Iowa wrestling meets when it's the heavyweight bout,
Sorry, no.
and they all start doing woo because like unless it's like an immediate pin, like heavyweight matches can be a little.
Not with Ben Keeter.
Not with Ben Keeter. That's true.
Not with Ben Keeter.
I didn't mean it, Ben. The other one is T.R. Knight. You wouldn't know the name. You ever watch Grey's Anatomy?
My mom used to watch it a lot.
George O'Malley. Remember him? He's kind of like the little dorky guy.
Young, does he have like a baby face?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
One of the
I knew
doctors.
there was one that.
And he's
had a
kind of
baby
like he just is kind of a baby. He's like one of my least favorite characters. He's always in love with Izzy, and it's like a whole thing.
face.
So
Oh man, you're gonna get
lame.
raked in the comments.
I probably will because I think his character dies later on in the seasons
You're gonna
later.
spoil it for everybody like that?
This has been on for years. So, your mom used to watch it.
Spoiler alert! You should have said
Yeah.
something.
Sorry.
Golly. Matthew, can I put that in? My goodness.
And then Pete Docter, Docter. Okay. He's the chief executive officer, at Pixar Animation.
Oh wow.
Okay. He was
Okay.
the director of Monsters, Inc., Up, Inside Out, and Soul. Interesting.
Hmm.
And the last one is Bob Dylan. I'm going to tell you something. I know the name Bob Dylan. And I said, I have to know the songs that he sings. And I'm like sitting there like, maybe it's, so I like look on my Apple Music, Bob Dylan songs. And this is probably hurting so many people's brains right now. It's like, this girl sucks. I'm only 30, so I don't know all these songs. But the only one I like really recognized was Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Can you give us a little?
Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. How's that?
Matthew, was that good? I feel like Matthew knows Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan's not great, but a lot of people cover his songs and make it better.
Oh, interesting.
Insight from our producer.
Thanks, Matthew. So there, Minnesota, Bob Dylan's not that great, according to Matthew.
Just his songs are good that other people sing.
I'm totally kidding. So that. And then also, you had brought this up. You're like, well, where did the We Hate Iowa cheer come from? The We Hate Iowa chant. So in 2013, this is actually really interesting. So I
So
think they've
my
been doing it
freshman
for they've been doing it for a really long time, though.
Right.
Like a really long time. I don't know exactly when it started. And if you ask people like, hey, why do you guys do that? You're like, well, I don't really know. We just don't like them. Like, that's literally it. Like, it didn't come from, this one game where it was this and it was that. Like, there really isn't a huge reason. But in 2013, the University of Minnesota Athletics Department, this is so interesting to me, put out an internet program that was like, hey, here's how you can be a Gopher fan. It was like how to paint your face, and here's some different traditions we do.
Don't tell me it said Hate Iowa.
And on page 9, this is from the athletics department, which they later, the athletics director was like, I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, that's not okay.
Was this a student-run organization and just
No,
threw
it's
it in there?
literally the athletics department, Matt. Okay. And so anyway, the athletics director did say I didn't know that was going in there. I made them take it off. We took it down. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm so sorry. And he has said multiple times, I shouldn't use that word. I really don't like the We Hate Iowa chant. I wish they would stop doing it. I've apologized to Gary Barta, who was the athletics director of the time of all this at Iowa. And he's like, I've apologized to him. We've talked about it. And, I think it's just kids that think it's funny.
So on page 9, what exactly
Sorry,
did it say?
I just had to put that in there that it's not the athletics department is still doing
Yeah,
this. It was just a 1-year situation. But on page 9, there was a picture of a guy, and maybe I took a screenshot of it. Maybe we can put it on the screen. But a picture of a guy in there's a shirt that said We Hate Iowa. And the caption of it said, hate is a strong word. That's why we use it. So when we're playing the Hawkeyes in a group chants, who hates Iowa? The proper response is, we hate Iowa.
The proper?
Yeah, that's what it says. And anyway, so then the following year, the athletics director was like, hey, I didn't know it was going to happen. And then I think also at a football game, they put it up on the Jumbotron. I read that on another article that they put it up on the video board, call and response to be who hates Iowa? And then the students are just we hate Iowa, whatever. But it's not just the student section.
Of course
it's
not.
all fans, which I just find so interesting because I genuinely didn't know that it was that big of a rivalry. I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb to it, but
You're coming from the big brother position.
well, I mean, I feel like I would always would want to be the one being hated in that situation.
Yes.
And being be the one doing the chant.
Yes.
Not me personally, but like as a team, you know, like
Yeah,
I'd rather be
I
the one
agree.
being hated.
I absolutely agree.
But yeah, like all the article that I read, which was from like 2014 or something like that. A lot of the players were like, yeah, we love it. And then some of them were like, I don't know. Like, it's not really my thing. The Minnesota players, it's fine. Like, I don't really know that we should be saying hate, like, you know, that kind of stuff. But they say it at any game, like any game. They could be playing Troy and they would literally at halftime be like, who hates Iowa? Like the whole stadium erupts in it, apparently. I've never witnessed it or experienced it, but it's really interesting. And like when I was looking stuff up, like on Reddit and whatever, people would be like, why does Minnesota do the "We Hate Iowa" chant like on college game day when they're playing Michigan State? What is that? You know what I mean?
Wait, Minnesota has been on college game day?
You know.
I think that's more the bigger question. How did they get on game day?
You know, maybe their fans showed up to a different school.
Yes.
That's possible.
We hate Iowa.
They flashing the camera like
No,
that?
it's just they had to wear a different school in order to get into the section. And then they
lifted
reveal
it.
the yellow shirt, the gold shirt that says "We hate Iowa."
Yeah. So anyway, that's my info for the day. Nothing like super exciting, but kind of interesting.
It is what it is.
There you have it. Well, tell me a bit about Minnesota. I'm going to tell you something. I do remember you saying they do a lot of pre-snap movements. Last year you said that.
Well, they did a lot of post-snap RPOs. That's what they did
Shoot.
last year. So,
I was so close. Actually, are you serious? Did I mess it up?
Leave the football analytics to me.
No, I never claimed to know a lot. But did I mess it up that much?
Yeah.
So sorry. Okay.
Post-snap RPOs.
No, go ahead.
Well, the quarterback from last year is gone, Kaliak Manis. I want to say he's somewhere on the East Coast. And he was like a promising player, but so they got a new quarterback this year. They're 2-1 on the year, lost to University of North Carolina, like 19-17. They were the only Big Ten team to lose week 1. Thanks, Minnesota. And but then since then they've had back-to-back shutouts. So the defense is starting to play really well. Again, they play like a 3-4 kind of style. 3-down lineman with a stand-up linebacker that sometimes moves. They're not shy from blitzing, and they're not shy from playing man-to-man. Like they're going to play a lot of zone, but they're comfortable playing man-to-man, I should say. But defensively, they're +7 in the turnover margin. And a lot of those picks, they had one against Nevada where they're literally hitting him as he's letting go. So they get an interception. Other one, they baited him into a throw. They were just trying to hit a fade into the end zone. He threw it. There were 3 defenders there to one Nevada guy. Gets picked, right? So, but +7 in the turnover margin is really good. So we're going to have to be smart with the football. We just got to be efficient. It's weird to say again because we were so efficient against Troy. But anyway, and then on offense, like I said, new quarterback. I'm going to force the young guy to beat us. He threw a pretty bad pick against Nevada. He just didn't make his read, snapped it through it. So there's a couple things there. They're running backs. They've kind of got tandem running backs going right now, which Minnesota's always been known to run the football. And maybe I shouldn't say always, but since PJ Fleck has been there, it's a run first, run second, run third, and then maybe we'll pass it. But it's probably going to be an RPO, and then we'll pass it. Right. So they always want to run. Muhammad Ibrahim has been the running back there since like the 1940s. So he finally moved on. He was there for a long time, ran the ball a ton. He would have like 45 carries a game. Crazy. So they're going to run the football, but they're really good at breaking tackles. There was a lot of times, and I think one of them had an 80-yard touchdown run against Nevada where he broke 2 or 3 tackles before he went. And then the backup came in, and maybe I use backup loosely, but this other guy came in who's got more carries but less yards, breaks 3 or 4 tackles, stays on his feet. So they're really good at running the football. So we just have to play sound football. And I feel like we can take advantage of our run stopping capabilities and then use that to force the quarterback to have to put it in the air. Because we've shown that we've got ball hawks, right? We just have to make them make a mistake, and I think we can do that. On the offensive side of the ball, I already said it once, be efficient again. Use Caleb Johnson. And it's not use Caleb Johnson and give him 90 carries. Like, yes, I want him to carry the ball, but I also want him to be healthy for the other 9 games that we play in the regular season and then on, okay? Including this one, so it'd be 8 after they play Minnesota. But the fact of the matter is, like, I want him to have a long, good season/career. So you don't have to necessarily give him 40 carries. I like 25 carries. I think that's good. I think it's good to get Kamari Moulton and LeSean Williams in there to spell him every now and then. But, utilize him more in the pass game. And that's not throwing him the football. That's play action. I mean, there's so many times how we can use him to boot or use him to waggle, as they say, use him to extend the ball, get everybody's eyes flowing, and then come back. I mean, there was a bunch of times where we hit a quick glance or a quick slant. I remember I scored against Illinois on one where Nate Stanley stuck the ball out, turned, and then cut in front of the safety, boom, and then I scored in Kinnick. Like, there's different ways that we can do this, especially versus off coverage.
Is that the one where you did the toe drag into the end
Yeah.
zone? That's my favorite one.
Thanks. But there's other ways to utilize him in that way. So I think I think Caleb Johnson has to be the main thing, and then we got to find a way to get Luke Lachey touches. You know, our tight ends are always kind of moving. I think we really have 4 that we use: Ortworth, Ostrenga, obviously Lachey, and then Hayden Large. So between those 4 guys, find a way to get them involved. And then we need a true 1 and 2 on the outside. I already said I really like watching Jacob Gill. I think that he's going to be good. But finding ways to get easy touches, that was one thing that I really liked that Cade did, although I already brought up the one where Lachey was at the seam. He was more willing to take the short passes just to get the 5 or 6 yards. And I like that. Just keep moving the ball down the field. Possess the football as Iowa football, but also we need to be able to take shots, take some deep throws, and see what happens. But being efficient again, maybe get Brendan Sullivan a couple more things around the goal line. I kind of like that play that we had with Ostrenga where we scored, so I'm sure we're going to see more of a goal line package centered around Brendan Sullivan. So I kind of like the direction we're going. It's just more so figuring out exactly who does what and to do it at a high clip.
I feel like I like the short passes like that too. Do you like the 5 or 6 yards? Just because it gives the confidence in Cade and then also the receivers.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, we can do this. We've got it. And like you said, the deep shots downfield.
Well, do that on the first down. Like, take the shot on first down or throw the ball on first down as like a play action on first down. Everybody knows that Iowa wants to run the ball. So use that on first down to get a easy, cheap 3 or 4 yards. Even if it's tight end out in the flat, he gets hit as soon as he catches it. I'd much rather be in 2nd and 7 than 2nd and 10. The whole playbook is still open on 2nd and 7. You can run for 3 yards and be at 3rd and 4 and make it very manageable. So I think that there are different ways that we can do things to move the ball down the field. Everybody wants the flashy, like, deep ball. I also do. But I also know the importance of just being able to move the ball down the field and possessing the football.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the weather's going to be pretty decent. Like 70s.
Night game.
Is it a night game?
6:30 kick.
Okay. There's a night game for Nebraska in Kinnick. Sorry, that was so random, but it just made me think of that in November. Who did that? That's crazy. It's so cold.
Yeah, take it up with the higher ups. Go to the
Not with you?
not
Are you
with
sure?
me. I don't have this. I'm taking a
I
drink.
could just take it out on you. Just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be a good game. I'm excited.
I think it will be too. It'll be nice to bring Floyd back, and hopefully they just do a fair catch the whole time once they hold the Floyd.
Yeah. Just it'll look like they're waving.
Oh
but
yeah,
they're
it'll
not.
look, but they'll just kind of wave them off.
Yeah. Gotta have it down. a
Fair
little
catch
bit.
that was, but shouldn't have.
We're not still heard about
Sorry
it.
to end on that one.
You shouldn't have
No,
done
it's
that.
gonna be a good game.
It is going to be a good game. I'm excited for it. And just to get into Big Ten play. It's always
Yes.
exciting. It's super fun.
Yes.
So, and we don't have a home game until October 12th when Washington comes.
Yeah, we got a little while.
Yeah, which is interesting too. Is it Minnesota, bye week, Ohio State, and then home?
We're not worried about that.
I'm just
Worried
wondering.
about the next game, which is the University of Minnesota.
Okay.
Won
Here
them
I
out
am
this
talking about Nebraska in November.
week. You're worried
Clearly, I
about the
don't play
weather.
by your guys' rules.
No, you're worried about the weather.
Either way. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoy the game this weekend. And
Please like, subscribe. We've got 2 channels going right now. So if you want the full interview, make sure you pop over to Talkin Hawks over here on YouTube. Otherwise, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast from. We'd love to have you. We plan on doing a giveaway coming up. So make sure that you're following all of our content so that way you can get some Talkin Hawks merch.
totally. Good job. I would have forgot to do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for following along. And we will catch you next week. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.